This explainer is based on the work of Professor Kiskinov, and it dives into a really fundamental question. In our age of instant global communication and virtual reality, what is law, really? And where does it actually exist? I mean, is it just the words written in a book, or is it something more? All right, so here's the plan. We're going to start by looking at the ancient world's quest for order. Then, we'll get into what a legal system actually is and why it's facing a crisis in the age of virtual reality. From there, we'll explore a new blueprint for law and finish up by looking at what the future of legal design might hold. So first up, the ancient quest for order. This is all about a centuries-long struggle for harmony and law. For thousands of years, people have tried to bring some kind of order to this massive, often contradictory thing we call the law. This isn't some new problem that just popped up with the internet. It's a really ancient ambition. And this quest for a perfect system, well, it goes way, way back. You look at the 6th century, and you've got Emperor Justinian trying to create this perfect, complete codification of Roman law. No contradictions allowed. Fast forward to the 12th century, and the scholastics are using rational logic to find consistency in legal texts. Then, by the 19th century, you have jurists treating law almost like a science, something to be built or constructed. See the pattern here? Every era, with its own methods, was chasing that same dream of a perfect system.
And Justinian's own words really nail this ambition. He called his code a temple of Roman justice. Think about that for a second. A temple isn't just a building. It's a place of harmony, of integrity, where everything fits together perfectly. He didn't just see a collection of rules. He saw a system, a beautiful, harmonious whole.
Okay, so all that history brings us to our next big question. What is a legal system? We're talking about moving beyond just the text on a page. And to do that, we have to ask a really basic question. What is law and where does it even exist? Now, to really dig into this, we need to touch on something called legal ontology. I know, it sounds a bit academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's just the study of what it means for law to exist. So is the law the actual physical book sitting on a shelf? Or is it the abstract idea that the book is just trying to describe? And that brings us to a really crucial point. The law isn't just the text. The text is just a description of something deeper, something more fundamental. We call these normative structures. You can think of them like a blueprint. They're the abstract, logical rules and relationships that a lawmaker has in mind before they even write a single word of the actual law. So let's break that down. On one hand, you have the text of the law. It's physical, it's on paper, it's on a screen, but because it's in plain language, it can be really ambiguous. And it's static, it doesn't change until someone rewrites it. But on the other hand, you have this system of legal norms. That's not physical at all. It's an abstract idea. It's structured, it's based on logic, and it's dynamic. And let me tell you, this difference between the text and the system, it's absolutely key to understanding what comes next. Which brings us to our next section, law's crisis in virtual reality. Because this is where society starts to change way faster than law can be written. For centuries, this whole system of writing down abstract ideas in static books, it worked, more or less. But now, that traditional model is hitting a breaking point, all thanks to our new virtual world. So you have to ask the big question for our time, right? What happens when law, in its slow, text-based form, has to govern a world of instant, global, and virtual interactions? How can a system that was designed for a world of farms and factories, a world of paper and physical borders, even begin to cope with the sheer speed and complexity of the information age? I mean, the challenges are just huge. E-commerce is global, it's 24/7. Digital communication just jumps over physical borders, like they're not even there. We're creating new kinds of relationships, new kinds of assets, entirely online. And think about automated decision-making, AI systems. They need crystal clear rules, but our laws are often anything but. The sheer volume and speed of all these interactions are just completely overwhelming our old traditional legal processes. So, what's the solution? This is where we get to a new blueprint for law, and the idea of giving it a totally new form of existence. The answer isn't just to try and write laws faster. That's a losing game. Instead, Professor Kiskinov argues that we need to give law an entirely new way to exist. And the solution is pretty radical. It's about moving that ideal system of law into an ideal environment. And that environment is virtual space. Now, this is a huge shift in thinking. Remember that abstract logical blueprint of law we were talking about? Well, what is virtual space? It's an environment built on pure logic and structure. It's the perfect match. It's like law's abstract nature has finally found its perfect home.
So how would this actually work? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, you deconstruct the legal text. You break it down to find those core, logical, normative structures. Step 2, you model it. You build interactive, formal models of those structures inside a virtual environment, basically a digital blueprint. And then Step 3, you generate. You can use these models to create consistent, automated legal processes. And, get this, you could even use them to check for contradictions before a law is ever passed.
What this does is transform law from a static text that has to be interpreted into a dynamic system that can actually be engineered. It's a fundamental shift from being reactive, interpreting a text after a problem happens, to being proactive and designing the system from the ground up. All right, let's move into our final section and really look at the future of legal design. What does it actually mean to engineer a legal system?
The potential benefits here are just huge. Think about it. You get consistency because the rules are applied uniformly without different human interpretations. You get clarity because these models can show you gaps and contradictions before they ever become real-world problems. This could lead to amazing efficiency in things like contracts, compliance, even e-government. And maybe the most exciting part? You get proactive design, the ability to actually experiment with and test new laws in a virtual environment before they go live.
So the takeaway is this. Law is no longer just a text to be interpreted. It's becoming a system to be designed. We're watching it move from the world of rhetoric and after-the-fact interpretation into the world of engineering and proactive design. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. If law can be designed with the precision of software, what kind of society do we actually want to build with it? This gives us an incredible new power, but also a pretty profound responsibility for the future we choose to create.